Okay, thank you very much, Stanley. Can we be settled? Let's settle down. And if somebody can announce to those who are still out to come back in so that we can move seamlessly with a minimal interruption. So, all cabinet ministers who are here today, the principal secretaries, high commissioners, and other representatives of foreign missions, our donors and sponsors of this event, the sponsors which include Safaricom, Team Europe, Cisco, Amazon Web Services, Dell, and Huawei, among others. Allow me, first of all, to express our gratitude to all of you for creating time out of your busy schedules to come and join us at the Connected Africa Summit 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an opportunity and a platform for us as Africa to think together in view of what is happening in our operational environment so that we can come up with a tech roadmap that can guide our digital transformation moving forward. We are today operating in an environment where factors in play keep on evolving. Dynamism in the operational environment is faster than the rate of technological innovation. Over and above that, there are salient challenges that we need to address moving forward. So through this platform, we need to come up with very clear strategies for overcoming those challenges as Africa, working together in tandem, moving forward. We have got several emerging issues in the technological space. Just to mention but a few, we are grappling with the issue of artificial intelligence, and we need to discuss whether or not we need to regulate AI or we let AI regulate itself. We have got issues to do with Internet of Things, big data. We have challenges in the space of cyber security. All these require thought leadership. We therefore, in response to the same, need to think of what we need to do from a policy, legal, and regulatory perspective, moving together as Africa so that we can position ourselves effectively or strategically in the tech operational environment. Let me just mention some of the few areas which require our attention if we are to turn Africa into the envisaged digital continent. One is digital public infrastructure. Today, as we speak, quite substantial proportions of the African continent is not yet enabled by way of reliable, affordable, and stable internet. We need to think of how to enhance the level of our fiber connectivity. Here in Kenya, we have embarked on a process of rolling out 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable to all those parts of the country that hitherto had not yet been connected. We need to move together in this space, while also thinking of how our efforts within the fiber rollout space can be interlinked with what is happening in our neighboring countries and the rest of Africa for that matter, so that we also don't run the risk of an expensive duplication of effort in the rollout of fiber. This effort, granted, will be augmented by the private sector. That's why in this summit, And in everything that we are doing as African governments, we rely on the integral contributing component of the private sector to facilitate our digital superhighways. Here in Kenya, we envisage that, or our proposition is that as government, we are only going to do 52% of what we need to do and leave the rest of 48% to the private sector. Our view in this regard is that the role of government is to put in place an enabling policy, legal, and regulatory framework to enable the private sector thrive. The role of government, ladies and gentlemen, is not to compete in business with business, but to create that enabling environment. We also need to enhance our level of internet connectivity. Connectivity is only beneficial if it is universal and also if it is inclusive. So as Africa, we need to think of how to roll out internet connectivity to the lowest levels. In Kenya here, we have embarked on an ambitious program again of rolling out 25,000 Wi-Fi hotspots. And we are, for a start, targeting those parts of the country where those operating at the bottom of the economic pyramid are domiciled. The markets, the schools, the bus termini, where our youth are domiciled, so that we can leverage on technology for purposes of e-commerce. We have put in place already an e-commerce strategy here in Kenya. We need an e-commerce strategy for Africa. We have embarked on the process of facilitating e-commerce through a national addressing system, policy, and bill. We need to have a national addressing policy for Africa so that we can have e-commerce across the entire African continent, because that is the only way we can revolutionize the way we are doing business, commerce, and trade. The other frontier we need to talk about is how to exploit the enormous potential that we have in the digital space to create jobs for our youth. As a Kenyan government, we have already embarked on a process of establishing a total of 1,450 digital hubs in each and every ward, which is the lowest administrative unit that we have in this country. Since we embarked on this process, good people, 1 year ago, we have managed to train a total of 390,000 youth, while in the same vein created a total of 135,000 jobs for the youth within 1 year alone. And our proposition is that in the next 1 year or so, we should be able to create about 2 million jobs for our youth. This will be a major game changer to address the unemployment situation in Kenya. And we need to move in tandem as Africa to think of how we can leverage on technology or facilitate optimal uptake of the technological jobs that we have for our youth to address the unemployment challenge that we have in Africa. That is a discussion that we need to have as a continent. But with that critical public infrastructure in place, the question we need to ask ourselves as African governments is, do we still need to have manual processes in government? And the answer is a clear no. The answer is a clear no. In Kenya, we have embarked on the process of digitalizing government services and digitizing government records. We envisage that all operations in government should be paperless to facilitate efficiency and effectiveness in service delivery to the people. Again, we need a continental approach. Here in Kenya, we have managed already to digitalize fully 16,892 services, which are today available on our e-citizen platform. How do we move together as an African continent in the space of digitalization? Because we have no option. We must digitalize everything in Africa to re-engineer our processes so that we have efficiency and effectiveness in service delivery. Let me just give you an example to elucidate or to explain the benefit of digitalization. At the point when we embarked on this process here in Kenya, we used to collect on average about 60 million shillings per day. Through digitalization, today we are collecting up to 1 billion shillings on a given day. The revenue sources still remain more or less the same, but we have just sealed the revenue leakages and brought on board also more people into the income bracket. That is a discussion that we need to have as Africa. How do we enhance our level of digitalization to facilitate efficiency and effectiveness in service delivery to the African people? How do we take advantage of digitalization to enhance the level of our own domestic revenue so that we are able to collect adequate revenue to the extent that we can utilize the same to settle our external debt and even have surplus within our countries for purposes of both recurrent and development expenditure. The other issue that we must discuss is inclusivity. If we are rolling out digital public infrastructure and we are digitalizing government services, we must ensure that a critical mass of Africans have at their disposal smart-enabled telephones. Because in the face of digitalization, it is no longer justified that we will be asking the African people to visit government offices to consume government services. We must facilitate universal access to smart-enabled telephones. In Kenya, as government, but partnering with the private sector, we have already embarked on local assembly of cheap or affordable smart-enabled telephones going for at a unit cost of $50. And we envisage that this will drastically go down as time progresses. We want to go the full hog and embark on actual manufacture of telephones and then proceed to the next frontier of manufacturing both computer hardware and software. There is no reason why Africa should be a net importer of technology. We have got the capacity, skills, competencies, and wherewithal and resources to become manufacturers of technology ourselves as opposed to be net importers. The other issue is identity of the people. If we have got all services on virtual platforms and we have got smart-enabled telephones, equally or in equal measure as African countries, we must have a virtual means through which African governments can confirm the authenticity of each and every African. We must have a virtual mechanism through which Africa can confirm that he or she is the person he or she claims to be. And that's why we should have a very frank discussion about digital identities. Digital identities to facilitate seamless virtual transactions. And we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Other economies have done it. Estonia has done it. Belgium has done it. India has done it. Why should Africa be an exception? Why should we be an exception? Pakistan again has done it. So we need to have that discussion on digital identity. The other area is digital skilling to facilitate optimal uptake of the digital infrastructure that we are putting in place. If we leave the people behind by way of the level of literacy, ICT literacy skills, then the people will not be able to optimally uptake the digital infrastructure. So we need to, in tandem, think about how we are going to enhance skilling of the people, starting with the youth, public servants, to facilitate efficiency and effectiveness in service delivery. All this, ladies and gentlemen, must be anchored on sound policies, laws, and regulations. And I'm happy that a critical mass of our regulators are here. We need to think of how to come up with an enabling policy, legal, and regulatory framework in this regard. I've talked about those emerging issues like AI. What do we need to do? Internet of Things, cybersecurity. We need to move together as Africa so that we come up with policies, laws, and regulations that speak to each other as opposed to being discordant to each other. This will enable us to become one digital market, one continental digital market. And based on the economies of scale, the attendant benefit of this is that we will be having a better bargaining chip in the global marketplace by way of comparative advantage. With those many remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we are on the right pedestal. And if we are guided by some of those frontiers, then at the end of this summit, we should come up with viable, feasible proposals as to what we need to do as Africa to come up with a very, very clear tech roadmap that can position Africa as a destination of choice by way of foreign direct capital investment in the ICT space, and also globally by way of comparative advantage. Thank you very much, and I wish you fruitful deliberations.
Thank you very much, CS Owalo. Let's give him another warm round of applause. Honorable Owalo has given us a quick overview of the challenges, some of the emerging issues that he has talked about, including perhaps what will be quite a hot topic here, including such as regulation of AI. Is it something that the industry must begin to look into? IoT as well, cybersecurity, e-commerce strategy for Africa. And just to set that on stage, I would like to welcome our first moderator for the first plenary session, Ambassador Philip Thigo, Special Envoy on Technology for the Republic of Kenya, who will be taking us through a conversation with Africa's thought leaders on shaping Africa's digital future. Let's give Ambassador Thigo a warm round of applause.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, led by honorable ministers. Let me just say all protocols observed, and if I would have your indulgence, thank you so much. I apologize. Do you need me to help you? Anyway, please. Dr. Tatenda Mavetera, Minister of ICT, Postal and Courier Services for Zimbabwe. Thank you, Excellency. Honorable Paula Ngabire, Minister of Information and Technology, Republic of Rwanda. Honorable Salima Manora Ba, Minister of Communication, Technology and Innovation of Sierra Leone. This is going to be an amazing gender balance panel. Let me thank the sovereigns for selecting this panel. And finally, and not last but not least, Alessandra Lustrati, Head of Digital Department and Private Sector Advisor of His Majesty's Government, United Kingdom. The mics should be somewhere on the side. Please choose a seat. I don't bite. Everybody kind of was avoiding to sit next to me. Basically, I think the idea of this session is to try and set the pace. Of course, it's a leaders' session to the extent of, I think, Honorable Owalo, the Minister of ICT for Kenya, kind of laid the context around both the convergence and the controversies that we're experiencing on our continent. A continent that is more divided, that needs to be more connected. a continent that still requires a lot to do around digital infrastructure, even beyond digital public infrastructure. A continent that has its own realities, that has basically been recovering whether from the ravages of war, but also a country that is within its own geopolitical challenges amidst a global expansion of technology, where we are nowhere in the AI race. And so based on those particular challenges, let me start from the ministers in country as we go to the region. And because South Sudan, you have the mic. I mean, looking at unique situation of South Sudan around post-conflict recovery, what are the specific steps that your government is taking to enhance connectivity, especially in the bigger areas of education?
Yeah, thank you very much,
Ambassador Tigo.
MC. And thank you for the colleagues who are here with me, and I appreciate the presence of the audience for attending this occasion. In fact, South Sudan is one of the countries, of course, which is the youngest son of Africa, or child of Africa. And being the youngest child of Africa, of course, we don't expect it to make the same strides that it had, that other countries or states have made in Africa. And especially after independence, when we had some internal feuds that brought about insecurity in South Sudan, we could not make long strides as expected. We had started better when we got our independence in 2011, and after 2011 we continued and we progressed very well. Unfortunately, we had another situation in 2013 whereby we had insecurity, and with the insecurity we could not move ahead. All that we had done was completely erased, and we had to start from afresh. Nevertheless, we managed to sign a peace agreement in 2018, which we are implementing now. With the implementation, of course, when South Sudan became independent, it had nothing actually to mention. There were Sudanese operators operating in South Sudan, and when the independence came, they all withdrew, and South Sudan was left without. So we had to start from scratch, and up to now we are still struggling in order to catch up with the world, because with this connectivity and the technology, definitely you will not be in a position to proceed or do anything unless you catch up with the world. So, Excellencies, indeed, of course, the technology today is the leading catalyst. There is nowhere we can develop without, as mentioned by former speakers, it is only through technology that you can advance. And this is what we are struggling with. So, in South Sudan, we have 3 operators. That is ICT operators, and that is MTN and Zain, and MTN, Zain, and Digital. These are the only 3 operators that is in South Sudan. And these 3 operators have not so far managed even to cover the whole of South Sudan. Of course, these are private companies, and they operate only whenever there are resources there. But so their task is to ensure that they make funds, they make money. Meanwhile, the policy of the government is to ensure that the services reach the people, because connectivity is a right at present. It is no longer a privilege, but a right of a citizen. So we are actually trying our level best to establish or to connect the people of South Sudan. And in order to do that, we have established what we call Universal Service and Access Fund. This fund this body is established in order to accelerate the connectivity in the unserved and underserved areas in South Sudan. This is what this body is doing, and it is actually moving in a good way, and we are optimistic that we will be in a position to cover most of South Sudan before elections, that is before the end of this year. In the Republic of South Sudan, of course, as I mentioned, we have only three operators who are trying to connect it, but nevertheless, we have also only 2 lines of fiber optic normally from Uganda to Juba, and the fiber optic is stopped there. We have not gone anywhere else, so our connectivity is still weak. It is still weak. We are not fully connected. Even the fiber optic that entered Juba has not yet covered Juba as such. So we are also in that process, and we are optimistic that we will be in a position to do all these before time. However, the government has the government, in partnership with the International Development Association and the World Bank Group, is implementing a national broadband backbone of South Sudan. That is, in fact, this project starts from Kenya here. It starts at the borders, and it enters South Sudan, and it is this project that will actually connect South Sudan with the world. This project, with the implementation of this project, we are planning to make South Sudan a hub for Africa, because South Sudan, being a country which is landlocked and it is in the heart of Africa, then we are planning to connect it through Kenya and through Uganda, through Ethiopia, and through Sudan. After getting connecting it like that, then we will create that hub and then extend westwards to DRC and to Central Africa, whereby we'll be connecting also to the Atlantic Ocean. These are programs that we are intending to do, and this is what we are planning. And in terms of policies, we have worked out our policies, and these policies are now we are in the process of operationalizing them. Our policy is a free market economy, so we have allocated, our duty is only to regulate the task of the operators so that they can operate in a free and a free atmosphere, so in order to render services to the people. So in addition to that, of course, our policy as a government is to ensure that the women and youth are the main beneficiaries of the digital connectivity and the digital world. This is simply because about 70% of the population in South Sudan are young people. This is a young nation with young people. Most of the people died in the liberation struggle, and the young ones who are now coming up, about 70% of them are the ones who are now in charge, and these are the people we are trying to develop so that they can take over the lead and be in a position to connect us with the world. Of course, in order to operationalize the policy of taking towns to the people, which is the policy which we had since the time of liberation, was taking towns to the people, we shall seek to accelerate the construction of the other phases of the national broadband backbone to be completed so that the benefits of the broadband connectivity do not stop in urban centers, but it should traverse the entire landscape of South Sudan, being aware that connectivity alone is of little benefit. So we shall also strive to work with local and global partners to complete the e-government, e-services, e-content, and mobile financial services across South Sudan. In fact, we have already started these e-services, and we have now the e-customs, the e-health, and we are in the process of establishing e-education and so forth. And this is in order to connect us with the rural population so that our people can benefit from that. However, the impact of connectivity on the environment is also massive, and the potential to help prevent climate change is great. In the future, digital technology may help abate carbon emissions by much more than it will generate by its deployment. Because of the digital divide, many people are still unable to benefit from connectivity and digital technologies. All in all, the positive impact is enormous and exceeds the negative impacts. Ultimately, connectivity has the potential to create benefits in every field of sustainable development, and it's imperative that we embrace the overall benefits of the digital technology. This is the situation in which we are in South Sudan. The operators that are operating now have not yet connected us up to, the connection is about 50% only in South Sudan. And we are optimistic that we'll be in a position to connect them up to connect the people of South Sudan up to more than half, 60, 70%. And we are encouraging more investment because South Sudan is a fertile land where connectivity is still open, and we would encourage investors to come to South Sudan so that they can come and help in accelerating this digital connectivity. That is what I can say. We are a little bit behind. We are not like our brothers in Kenya, but we are longing for your support as Kenya so that we connect with South Sudan. Thank you.
Please, you can give a hand to the Honorable Minister. I think you sort of covered a wide scope in terms of your vision, and I think the vision around, and this is always to private sector, that connectivity should not necessarily be to areas where it's lucrative or areas that make you money. But I think it's to the extent, as the Honorable Minister says, that connectivity now is actually a human right. And so you can actually do good while doing business. And so I would, again, just amplify and echo your call that South Sudan is open for business. You've had the gaps. It's only 3 operators. The coverage is still not adequate in terms of mobile connectivity, and fiber optics is still, again, at only the capital centers. It needs to go across South Sudan. And so, again, to all private sector in the room, I cannot amplify it even better than the minister has done it. He'll be around at Connected, so please find the minister. Let me go quickly to Honorable Paula. And I just wanted to get the segue. Of course, not lost to, again, thank you for coming. This month is especially significant to Rwanda because of the genocide against the Tutsis. And so, as always, we stand in solidarity with Rwanda. But again, I just wanted to bring Rwanda because so that our Honorable Minister from South Sudan sees what is possible. And to the extent of what Rwanda has done in terms of being a leader, in just not necessarily building a technology infrastructure, but also enabling technology to serve people and technology to be the driver of what we know Rwanda is. So when you see Visit Rwanda, you basically know what the President, Honorable Kagame, has done, but also what the Minister has been able to do. So I think if you can share some insights around Rwanda's digital public services. I know I'm one of the people who's used Irembo. Sophia has caught me or my friends driving over speeding. And to the extent, what lessons can we learn? And what potential advice can you start to share with South Sudan? Because over 30 years, you've been able to do what some of us think is impossible. So my question really is, what are those lessons that you can give us? What are those exemplars? And what do you think we can scale collectively to learn from Rwanda?
Thank you very much, Ambassador Philip, and maybe allow me to also extend my appreciation to the government of Kenya for inviting us to be part of Connected Africa Summit. Definitely a great space where we can all share what has worked, what hasn't worked for the different countries, but also as we look at what's the best way to integrate better and ensure that we're leaving no one behind in the different parts of our countries. But just to go quickly to your question, Rwanda's journey, as you rightly said, has been one of 30 years where we put digital front and center of the different strategies that we adopted, understanding that digital was going to really allow Rwanda to leapfrog the different stages of development. And that has worked for us because of the investments in infrastructure, whether it's the investments that have been possible by the many partnerships we have, whether it's development partners, whether it's the telecom operators that we have within our market, that have all invested heavily to really allow us to even achieve today what we boast at about more than 97% geographic coverage. But I think when you look just at the statistics of coverage, that may not really be enough. What we're looking at is not just how many people or how many places in the country have been fully covered, but truly how many people in the country, the population that is benefiting from these investments that have been made. And that's why, whether it's ITU or GSMA, we see a distinction of statistics between the coverage gap and the usage gap. And I believe COVID was a great opportunity for many governments and the private sector together to really reset and understand that much as we've invested heavily in putting in place, in closing the infrastructure gaps, there's still many of our people that live in areas that are very well covered, but at the same time that are not benefiting in a meaningful manner. And that brings me to the question that the moderator is asking of public services, because for us it was not just rolling out fiber infrastructure in all districts and border points. It was also going back to the drawing board and understanding then what? That now we have the infrastructure, what does it mean for people in different parts of the country? And that's why digitizing services was a priority for us as the government of Rwanda. And for us, the policy was simple: zero trip, zero paper. We don't want our citizens to make any trip to get any government service, and we don't want them to have to print papers to upload documents, but just to find ways of even delivering these services in an e-certificate form. So today we have over 400 services that are already online. The plan is that by June this year, all government services will be online. And as I said, citizens don't have to travel to any government office to get a service. All they need to do is log into Irembo, as Ambassador Philip mentioned. You go in, you put in all the different documents that you're requested for, and within 3 or 5 days you're able to get the services that you're looking for. And that has been an interesting journey for us. But coming back to the issue of the infrastructure gap, we're also very aware that much as we've put services online and we have internet connectivity in most parts of the country, there's still going to be a big percentage of our population that still will not be able to access these services. And that comes back to the question of devices. Most of our citizens will have future phones or basic phones, and that means that they're limited in how much they can meaningfully benefit from the infrastructure and broadband infrastructure investments that have been made, or the investments that government and the private sector have made in really putting services online. And this brings me to the concept of agents. And I think even for Kenya and many countries that will speak here, that are represented here, We know how much the agent networks have grown in a way to facilitate the last mile delivery of these services. And so a combination of agents of our telecom operators and a combination of our digital ambassadors has made it possible for those citizens that still live in areas that are well covered but don't have the right device to still be able to access these services. And you may ask, and perhaps we'll end on this, what is digital ambassadors? Because that's also another segment that has been very important for the drive for digital adoption in Rwanda. And the digital ambassadors will help with building digital literacy skills for our citizens. And so the combination of investments in broadband infrastructure, investments in skilling our citizens with digital literacy skills, thinking about how we provide affordable devices, smart devices for our citizens, and digitizing services is really what has made it possible for Rwanda to push hard on the digital agenda and making sure that every Rwandan is fully benefiting from these investments. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Honorable Minister. And I think I really needed to connect that with South Sudan. Because to the extent that, from where Rwanda came from, it's actually possible to do this. But also technology has evolved. I think partnerships and collaborations are much more nimble. They're very much aware of context. And so, to your point, Honorable Minister from South Sudan, that acceleration is possible. And beyond acceleration, there's also good practice that we can learn from our neighbors. Let me go to Sierra Leone, the other side of the continent. I think there's again similar. I'll ask you the same question I asked Paula, because I know Sierra Leone also has come from a difficult history, but then you've been a North Star in that region from DSTI, right? Which Kenya normally is a first for everything, but all of a sudden, Minister Senge puts up an innovative office that then begins to drive technology. It's for the first time I ever saw an African president with a 3D printed map on education and looking at using 3D to understand disparities between boys and girls in school. And so with that kind of mindset, what is Sierra Leone pushing beyond those initial initiatives that we saw, to the extent of building a resilient infrastructure, but also that is looking at its inclusivity? Because I know that has been President Bio's kind of mantra. So how are you doing it, and what can we learn from Sierra Leone?
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And let me join colleague ministers to thank the government of Kenya for hosting this event and inviting us. I think specifically when it comes to tech and connectivity, I think this is one area where, as a region, we really need to come together, learn lessons, and see how we can collaborate. But going to your question that you asked in terms of Sierra Leone's journey and how, as a country of an 8 million population, we've been really able to make a stake in terms of our contribution to this, I think it really stems from, I think maybe similar to what Rwanda experienced, realizing the only way we're going to accelerate and leapfrog our development was through tech. And I think also understanding that because we didn't have some legacy systems, it will be much more easier for us to adapt some of these. And it's been a very intentional development, as you mentioned, from even the appointment of the Chief Innovation Officer, Dr. Senge, the establishment of DSTI, all of those were first of its kind, because I think sometimes it's easy to say we're going to prioritize tech, but if you don't set up the institutions that would allow you to do that, it would become very difficult. So through the gains which were made through those appointments, through DSTI, and I will also say a lot of the cornerstones, and I actually come from the world of DSTI, so a lot of the cornerstones was really looking at 3 areas which we prioritize. We prioritize data for decision making, which is where you would see His Excellency the President had a 3D map to tell him in terms of looking at children going to school, which were the hard to reach areas, which kind of informed key interventions that we made. Also, we looked at human-centered design. So when you talk about inclusivity, those are really key for us because we understood that we could not just roll out the most high-tech solutions and technologies that you wanted. You have to think about the context and where you sit. So this is why you see so much of our solutions are hybrid. We have the low-tech, not because we can't or we shouldn't, we don't know how to do the high-tech, but we understand that our population is not at that stage yet, looking at the coverage for feature phones, looking at what the literacy rates are. All of those are decisions that go into, or factors that go into in terms of determining what kinds of solutions that we build. And that's really worked well for us. I'll give you an example. During COVID, and because we unfortunately had the experience of Ebola, we understood that a lot of the impact that we faced was because of the lack of communication, effective communication. So when we had the experience, when COVID came around, we utilized the various technologies to ensure that we could deliver accurate information to citizens. We used IVR that we used within the 16 different languages to make sure citizens could access the information. We used chat box, we used USSD, and we really saw through that the impact, I think.
Enroll now in our ongoing April and May intakes in the following diploma, certificate and artisan programs. SMS your name, course, grade and email address to 0725-818-644 or visit our website, Eldoret Technical Training Institute. Growing reputation.
How long does it take to develop this character? Yeah. And I can see there are different even clothing for the character and all that.
Right now that we just came from the idea stage, we are looking to get a character in maybe a day or two in. This is just to get the programmers moving on their side. Okay. So once he passes that model to the programmers, then he can focus longer on twinning it and making sure that it's as optimized as possible to run on a mobile device. But we are looking at around a week to get it fully optimized.
Atakazi, the most we can do for you is just give you the GPS for where your camera to me. Yeah, it will pretty much guide you the way Uber does. It will tell you, okay, this gentleman, the way you're going to for your clothes today is at this place, this location. Yeah.
And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
Tired of endless scrolling? Say goodbye to the chaos. Introducing the all-new Business Daily website. Experience seamless navigation. Immerse yourself in a world of more videos and more podcasts. Discover more with our enhanced home pages. Engage like never before with our interactive tools. Join us and elevate your reading experience today. Business Daily. More possibilities.
The Nation Leadership Forum has for the last 7 years set the stage for critical and riveting conversations. The award-winning forum makes a comeback this year with highly interactive town hall forums. Rapid digitalization, increasing access to technology, and skills-based curriculums are key in molding a globally competitive workforce that is the backbone of a growing economy. Join us on 25th April 2024 at the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development Auditorium and live on NTV Kenya from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. as we discuss global perspectives in Kenya's education reforms. Register to be part of this event at www.kenyabuzz.com.
People come to me and they say they get discomfort when they have ice cream. Can you imagine that? Avoiding having cold ice cream. Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
Mko na pesa sana.
Hilo ni kosa.
Hii tamaa yenyu itamletea balaa.
Huoni una tamaa? Toka!
Hujaweza kusipeleka kwa children's home.
Unataka kupeana nguo za mtu amekufa?
Ataka kuniambia Alisha wangu amekufa. Another surprise.
No way. Jonte! Yuko wapi Jonte? Nimekuuliza Jonte yuko wapi?
I am a toughie. Bata Toughies. Durable and comfortable shoes to match your inner toughness.
This is NTV.
Mtazamaji, imetimia saa 7 saa za Afrika Mashariki popote pale ulipo, ikiwa ni siku ya Jumatatu tarehe 22 mwezi Aprili mwaka 2024, na kukaribisha rasmi kwenye taarifa za NTV ya dhuhuri sasa hivi. Mimi kwa jina naitwa Nicholas Wambua, andamana nami kuanzia sasa hadi saa 7 na dakika 20 hivi ni kupasha na mengi zaidi kutoka pembe mbalimbali za taifa. Tunaanza na taarifa za tanzia ambapo watu 6 wamethibitishwa kuaga dunia na watu wengine 7 kujeruhiwa katika ajali iliyotokea eneo la Silanga kando ya barabara ya Narok kuelekea Molot, iliyohusisha magari mawili yaliyokuwa yakielekea pande tofauti. Mtazamaji, ni kwamba kulingana na rekodi za polisi, gari hilo aina ya Toyota Sienta lilikuwa likielekea Molot huku Subaru Forester ikielekea kule Narok. Na kulingana na OCPD Narok John Momanyi ni kwamba magari hayo yaligongana ana kwa ana wakati Subaru Forester ilipojaribu kulipita gari jingine. Kutokana na ajali hiyo, dereva wa Toyota Sienta na watu 5 wasiojulikana walifariki papo hapo kutokana na ajali hiyo. Miili hiyo ilitolewa na kupelekwa katika chumba cha kuhifadhi maiti cha hospitali ya rufaa ya Narok kusubiri kutambuliwa na kufanyiwa upasuaji. Magari yote mawili yalivutwa hadi kituo cha polisi cha Narok. Naam, mtazamaji, hiyo ni taarifa ambayo tunazidi kuifuatizia. Bila shaka nitakuwa nakuletea ukina wake kabla ya kutamatisha taarifa hizi za NTV adhuhuri. Kwingineko, chama cha madaktari KMPDO kimesisitiza kuwa mgomo unaendelea licha ya serikali kujipiga kifua na kudai kuwa mgomo utasitishwa leo hii. Leo ni siku ya 40 na mgomo wa madaktari bila shaka unaendelea na serikali. Ni kwamba mtazamaji, jana usiku Mkutano ulizaa matunda mengi na tayari kuna maafikiano kwa masuala 18 ya kati ya 19. Kwa upande wa mtazamaji ni kwamba madaktari wanaishtumu serikali kwa kupotosha Wakenya, kwani hakuna maafikiano yaliyotokana na mkutano wa siku ya jana. Tangu Ijumaa kumekuwemo na mkutano kadhaa kati ya KMPDU, serikali kuu na kaunti ili kutafuta mbinu za kusitisha mgomo. Mtazamaji, taarifa hiyo inazidi kuandaliwa na Lilis. Bila shaka muda si mrefu atakuwa anatuletea tena kwa kina zaidi. Na huku mgomo wa madaktari ukiendelea hapa nchini, Wakenya wengi hasa wanaotafuta huduma za matibabu katika hospitali za umma wanaendelea kuteseka zaidi. Angelina Mutenda mwenye umri wa miaka 48 ambaye ni mkazi wa Kinoo, Kikuyu, kaunti ya Kiambu, amekuwa akipokea matibabu katika hospitali tofauti za umma baada ya kuugua kwa zaidi ya miaka 17, ila kwa sasa anasema anaendelea kuteseka akiwa nyumbani baada ya kukosa pesa za kupata matibabu katika hospitali zake binafsi. Angelina anaeleza kuwa anahitajika kupimwa vipimo tofauti ila hajapata usaidizi kufikia sasa. Sasa naomba wasamaria wema kumsaidia kupata matibabu haya ya gharama ya juu katika hospitali za kibinafsi. Ametoa wito kwa madaktari na serikali kuelewana ili kutafuta suluhu ya mgomo.
Sisi ni watu wa chini na tunata uwezo waweze kujadiliana na madaktari, wagonjwa kama sisi tuweze kupona. Ikiwa mimi kama mimi mama niko hapa, niko na watoto wanastahili wanitegemee, lakini tegemeo lao hakuna. Mimi ndio naangalia watoto. Hilo jambo linaniuma wala linaniudhi.
Mtazamaji, turejelee taarifa ya awali ambapo chama cha madaktari KMPDU kimesisitiza kuwa mgomo unaendelea licha serikali kujipiga kifua na kudai kuwa mgomo utasitishwa leo hii. Leo ni siku 40 ya mgomo na upande wa serikali unadai kuwa mkutano uliofanyika jana usiku ulizaa matunda mengi na tayari kuna maafikiano kwa masuala 18 kati ya 19. Kwa upande wa madaktari wanaishtumu serikali kwa kupotosha umma, kwani hakuna maafikiano yaliyotokana na mkutano wa jana. Tangu Ijumaa kumekuwa na mikutano kadhaa kati ya KMPDU, serikali kuu na kaunti ili kutafuta mbinu za kusitisha mgomo. Leo madaktari walikuwa wafanye mazungumzo baina yao, lakini bado hatujajua ikiwa mkutano huo umefanyika au la, lakini watatoa maelezo zaidi alasiri hii.
Now that I've seen your lawyer come, he likes coming last minute and changing things that we have agreed.
We give instructions.
But we sign off what we have agreed, but they can amend.
Mtazamaji, tuache ya hospitali sasa tuingie kwa masuala ya kilimo. Na mbunge wa Kiharu Ndindi Nyoro amewahakikishia wakulima kwamba serikali itaendelea kutoa mbolea bei nafuu na kwa rai wakulima kutumia msimu huu wa mvua na kulima chakula cha kutosha ili kujikinga dhidi ya makali ya njaa. Haya yanajiri huku malalamishi ya mbolea ghushi yakiendelea miongoni mwa wakulima kote nchini.
Alaiza na zile bidhaa zingine tuendelee pia sisi kurudi mashambani, kwa sababu tumeona nchi ambayo inajitoteresha kitumbo in terms of food security ni nchi ambayo inaonekana iko dhabiti. Na pia katika bajeti yetu vile nimeeleza, maneno ya elimu tumeweka kipaumbele na maneno pia ya ukulima tumeweka kipaumbele, kwa sababu tunataka uchumi wa Kenya ikienda mbele, uchumi wa Kenya uende mbele kama Wakenya wote wanasikia hiyo uchumi ikienda mbele.
Mtazamaji, nitakuwa na kupasha taarifa zaidi ya saa kuhusiana na mafuriko katika eneo la Budalangi, mtazamaji, ambapo tayari wakazi zaidi ya 700 wamepoteza makazi yao. Na taarifa hiyo na nyingine nyingi, mtazamaji, ni baada ya mapumziko mafupi ambayo nayapata kwa sasa. Naomba usiende mbali.
There is where you are and there is where you want to be. It takes a professional to make you one of the great professionals of tomorrow. Can we define these professionals? They are inspirational. Professionals that attain world-class skills in nursing, counseling and physiotherapy. Professionals of young minds with big and revolutionary ideas. Professionals that attain first-class skills in community health, clinical medicine and medical laboratory. Professionals of excellence in imaging science, human nutrition and dietetics. Join us today and become a professional. Thika School of Medical and Health Sciences, nurturing professional excellence.
Taking pride in constructing tomorrow's skylines. Adding strength to Kenya's landmarks. Presenting the power for specialized constructions. Cementing the nation's future. Simba Cement, the strength and pride of Kenya.
Welcome to Herencia, the heartland of good living, where you belong. A community with endless possibilities. Your path to discovering a master planned gated community that matches your ambitions. Get yourself this must-have piece of paradise with state-of-the-art amenities, constant water supply, good security, tarmac roads, and much more from as low as 3.5 million. The best part, availability of buy and build financing services. Don't wait. Contact us today or visit our offices for more info. Buy and build your way at Herencia, the heartland of good living.
Dark marks keep coming back. Any tips? Double the vitamin C power. New Garnier Vitamin C Day and Night Serums. Daily with the #1 vitamin C serum to correct dark marks. At night, new 10% vitamin C serum to help prevent their reappearance. Together, twice as fast dark mark reduction. The Power Duo. New Garnier Vitamin C Day and Night Serums. By Garnier, naturally.
Prudential is now on M-Pesa app. Get a cancer cover from as low as 750 bob per month. Na pia, ukiwa admitted hosi, unapata chapa daily. For each day hauko hustle, for as low as 1,250 bob per month. Unangoja nini? Prudential is now on M-Pesa app. Visit today na ujipange na life.
Ukilipa bill zako na M-Kopa Cash reward ya 1,000 inaweza kukukodolea macho.
Lipa bills kama vile TV, stima, maji na shopping ukitumia M-Kopa Cash ama dial *667# na unaweza kujishindia 1,000 for every bill paid.
Kuna 100 daily winners. Chelewa, utapata mbwata sio chako. Kose.
Shinda cash na M-Kopa Cash. Cooperative Bank. We are you. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm sure you're wondering why USIU. The reason why you're coming here is not because you're just getting a degree. You're getting to experience USIU.
Tena mtazamaji, unaendelea kutazama taarifa za NTV adhuhuri. Mtu mmoja amefariki dunia eneo la Syokimau kwenye kaunti ya Machakos baada ya mvua kubwa kushuhudiwa. Mamia ya familia ya kaunti ya Kiambu kadhalika wamewachwa bila makao baada ya mafuriko. Kwa mkusanyiko wa taarifa hizi za mafuriko, tumpishe mwenzangu Ahmed Abdalla.
Kwingineko, zaidi ya familia 700 zimeathirika na mafuriko eneo bunge la Budalangi, kaunti ya Busia. Hii ni baada ya ziwa Victoria kuvunja kingo zake kutokana na mvua kubwa inayonyesha, sauti zao zikililia msaada wa dharura.
Familia 786 ambao wameshaathirika hapa Budalangi, na mvua bado inaendelea, na tunatarajia kwamba kutakuwa na athari kubwa, na hata tunatarajia kwamba pengine hiyo namba itaongezeka sana.
Sehemu yote ni maji. Kwa hivyo hawa watu wanahitaji msaada wa kula na hata mavazi wapewe, kusudi wajisitiri kama wanadamu wengine. Ile shida ambayo tuko nayo hapa ni shida serikali ikiweka maanani inaweza kuimaliza. Lakini kwa vile serikali haijaweka maanani, ndio sababu imekuwa shida ambayo itaendelea miaka na miaka na miaka.
Kadhalika, kaunti ya Kiambu, zaidi ya nyumba 20 za upangaji katika vijiji vya Rigen, Muthiga na Kinoo katika eneo bunge la Kikuyu zingali kwenye hasara hiyo.
More than 25 households zote zilikuwa zimejaa maji, na tukikaunt families, tuko na family kama 100 ambao wako trapped mpaka wasai kutoka asubuhi sababu ya hiyo maji. Kwa hivyo hii maji imekuwa ni shida na ni kwa muda mrefu sana. Tumejaribu kuteta, tumejaribu yoyote kwa kugonga ofisi za serikali ndio tusaidiwe.
Right now usiku tujalala juu ya hii maji venye imeingia. Saa watoto kukohoa usiku na hiyo baridi venye maji iko kwa nyumba. Sasa tunashindwa tutafanya aje.
Kulingana na wakazi hawa, barabara ambazo hazijakamilishwa zinaelekeza maji yote ya mafuriko katika nyumba za watu, hivyo kusababisha mafuriko manyumbani kwao, ili walazimu wengine kuhamia kwengine, huku hasara ya kuharibiwa kwa bidhaa zao na maji ikipanda. Vilevile wanaogopa kushambuliwa na magonjwa yanayotokana na mafuriko kutokana na kuchanganyika na maji taka, sasa wakiomba serikali kuu na ile ya kaunti kuingilia na kuwatafutia suluhu la kudumu. Ahmed Abdalla, NTV, Nairobi.
Mtazamaji, ni kwamba wakazi wanaoishi mtaa wa Kileleshwa hapa Nairobi wametishia kuwasilisha malalamishi yao bungeni kutaka ujenzi wa majumba marefu yanayoendelea mtaani humo kusitishwa. Kulingana na wenyeji, uwepo wa majumba hayo Kileleshwa umeathiri shughuli nyingi za kibiashara, huku hofu ya uchafuzi wa mazingira na uharibifu wa miundo msingi ikitanda miongoni mwa wakazi. Kadhalika, kwamba wanasema ukosefu wa maji na ongezeko la maji taka itakuwa ni swala la kawaida iwapo hatua hazitachukuliwa. Aidha, wenyeji wanalitaka bunge pamoja na idara husika kuingilia kati kwa mali kabla ya mambo kwenda kombo.
Have opposed and rejected this development because of the density of this apartment block that has been proposed being high density.
It's too big. I have nothing against building something small, but not 19 floor.
The site already has a site office, and we already have materials coming to site, some of them in the dock. They will enforce the regulations as required, and they will ensure no more construction or development on this site continues before this process is finished.
Sasa nampisha mwenzangu Esho Makori na taarifa za spoti.
Itakuwa starehe zaidi nikini dunde dhuhuri hii, na ni kwamba timu ya taifa
tuseme taifa tu, manake unatoka kaunti ya Busia tu, kwamba mabingwa makala ya 9 ya michezo ya kiyesa iliyoandaliwa mjini Malindi, kaunti ya Kilifi. Busia ilishinda Wajia mabao 5-4 kupitia mikwaju ya matuta baada ya sare ya bao moja ndani ya muda wa kawaida. Wakati huo Makueni ilinyakua taji la volleyball kwa wanaume ilipoinyuka Kilifi seti 5-4, nayo Siaya ikawang'aria kinadada wa Makueni seti 3-2. Kwingineko Kitui ilishinda taji la basketball kwa wanaume, na Siaya walirejea nyumbani na taji la kinadada.
Sisi tulipotoka Busia tulitumwa na gavana wetu Daktari Paul Nyongeso Toma, alituambia tuje tuchukue vikombe viwili. Kwa makosa tumepoteza ile ya basketball, lakini hii ya soka gavana yuko kule Busia anatungoja, tulijua tutachukua. Mwaka uliopita tulichukua nafasi ya 3 katika soka. Mwaka huu tulijiandaa vizuri, gavana alitupatia fedha za kutosha, tukaweka vijana kwa camp kwa takriban mwezi mmoja, na ndio haya matunda tumeyapata.
Wale ambao wamekuwa hapa wakashindana, hata kama umeshindwa wewe ni mshindi. Si namna hiyo? Naam. Na inasemekana sikubali kushinda si mshindani.
Tutashikana pamoja tuhakikishe vijana wetu tumwafikisha mbele, we nurture their talent. Na next Kisia Games tutakuwa na more entrants katika counties.
Kutoka kaunti ya Kilifi hadi kaunti ya Embu, na ni kwamba kanisa la Africa Independent Pentecostal liliandaa michezo mbalimbali katika uwanja wa shule ya upili ya Don Bosco kaunti ya Embu, na kuhamasisha vijana kuhusu umuhimu wa kutumia talanta zao kunawiri maishani, mbali na kujiepusha na mambo mabaya katika jamii.
Vile tunaendelea kucheza siku ya leo, kuna awards ambazo tumepanga tofauti. Tuko na vikombe za ambao watashinda football boys, tuko na vikombe ambao ni wale watashinda volleyball, tuko na certificate ambazo tumeziandaa ili kupea wanariadha ambao waliweza kuibuka. Na pia hii games hazitaishia hapa, hii ni mwanzo tu, zitaendelea, alafu tutakuwa na the best team ambazo tutaweza kuchukua best players, alafu kutoka mwezi wa 9 ama wa 10 hapo tuko na games za national ambazo tutaenda Nairobi kule Kasarani. So pia ni ile hali ya kujiandaa ili tuchukue the best team kwa boys, ili sasa waweze kujumuisha watengeneze timu moja ya Dowses ambao zitakuwa na football ladies, football men.
Wachezaji wa sataranji ambao watapambania mataji ya kitaifa katika mashindano ya chipukizi waliteuliwa kwenye mchujo wa mwisho uliofanyika katika ukumbi wa shule ya upili ya Mangu, kaunti ya Kiambu. Darian Kigen alishinda kitengo cha wavulana walio chini ya miaka 8 alipoandikisha alama 21. Danish Shah alikuwa wa pili, huku Mark Antoine akimaliza wa 3. Kwa upande wa kinadada, Mali Mugo aling'aa na alama 24 na alifuatiwa na Naomi wa Mwenje katika nafasi ya pili, huku Zuri Gathoni akiwa wa 3. Wakati huo Aguda Luanga alishinda kitengo cha wavulana walio chini ya miaka 18 alipozoa alama 22. Samuel Kagambi alikuwa wa pili, huku Hawi Kaloki akiambulia nafasi ya 3. Kwa upande wa kinadada kitengo sawia, Lauresia Atiagaga alitamba na alama 22. Elisiri Kamoni alikuwa wa pili, huku Mary Wathaya akifunga orodha ya watatu bora. Katika himaya ya mataifa ni kwamba Real Madrid iliimarisha kampeni yake ya kunyakua taji la 36 la ligi kuu ya Hispania La Liga ilipowashinda watani wao wa tangu jadi Barcelona mabao 3-2 katika mechi ya El Clasico iliyokuwa uwanja wa Santiago Bernabeu. Andres Christensen aliweka Barcelona uongozini dakika ya 6 kabla ya Vinicius Junior kuikombolea Real dakika 18 kwa njia ya tuta. Fermin Lopez alirejesha Barca kifo mbele dakika 69, naye Lucas Vázquez akasawazisha dakika 4 baadaye. Jude Bellingham alipachika kimiani goli la ushindi muda wa lala salama. Kutokana na ushindi huu, Los Blancos sasa ina alama 81, 11 mbele ya mabingwa Barcelona walio wa pili na alama 70. Ila usiku Sevilla itapambana na Real Mallorca nyumbani Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan. Nakwambia siri kwamba katika maisha kuna mambo mawili ambayo yanaashiria kwa nini hatuwaamini watu. La kwanza ni kwamba hatuwajui kabisa, hatuna taarifa kuwahusu. La pili, tunawajua vizuri, ni wale wale tu. Niite mwanaspoti niridhike zaidi, tutiana kwenye mboni siku ya Alhamisi. Kwa sasa na mega pembeni, aliko kushoto kwangu Nick ahitimisha dhuhuri.
Asante sana Shoma Kori, na pasi na la ziada. Mtazamaji nasema ni asante sana kwa utazamaji mwema. Naitwa Nicholas Wambua, panapo majaliwa jioni ya leo utakuwa naye Fredrick Mutiriri kwenye taarifa za NTV jioni. Mchana mwema.
This is NTV.
Warembo, ni nini muhimu kwenu mnaponunua body lotion?
Smoothness, scent, glow.
Nunua Nice and Lovely body lotion. Transform dry skin kuwa deeply nourished na smoothened. Na fragrance nayo. Wacha tu.
Now available in the 850 ml pack.
Chagua Kenya's #1 body lotion.
This is indeed a walk for a brighter future. Every stride raises funds for the Alumni Scholarship Fund, a beacon of hope for deserving students in need.
Shirika Deposit Taking Sacco is celebrating 55 years of transforming lives.
Shirika DT Sacco was started on 24th of April 1969 by members from the Ministry of Cooperative Development.
The Sacco opened its common bond in 2015.
Our membership, you can find it under the health sector, the agricultural sector, the teaching profession. We have diaspora members.
With an asset base of 4.9 billion Kenya shillings and over 10,000 members, the management and members are proud of its milestones.
From contributing 20 shillings and currently at a level of more than 10% of their earnings.
We offer the most competitive, most affordable loans. We have embraced the digital platforms.
Shirika imenisaidia kupata hii plot. Hizi ng'ombe unaona ni shirika.
As we celebrate the 55 years of existence, we want to continue to give the best.
Shirika Deposit Taking Sacco, celebrating 55 years as your financial empowerment partner.
Imperfections, blackheads. Try Garnier's Pure Active 3-in-1 Charcoal, powered by salicylic acid and purified charcoal to reduce pimple-causing germs by 99.5%. One product, 3 uses for a pure skin. Garnier Pure Active 3-in-1 Charcoal, #1 in South Africa, by Garnier Naturally.
Are you a proud alumni of the prestigious University of Nairobi? Are you ready to make a difference that lasts a lifetime? Then join us for the University of Nairobi Alumni Association Walk.
On the 4th of May, the University of Nairobi alumni are going to be walking in order to support scholarships and sponsorships for other students. We want you to be there. We'd be happy to see you there.
This is indeed a walk for a brighter future. Every stride raises funds for the Alumni Scholarship Fund, a beacon of hope for deserving students in need.
What is Generation Z? Beyond age, it's a culture, laughter, and conversations that matter. Speaking of Gen Z podcast is back with Gen Z's finest, Esther Nyandoro, Jackie Masharia, and Michelle Namasaka. Tune in every Wednesday on Nation FM at 10 a.m. and stream your favorite episodes on nation.africa or www.ntvkenya.co.ke or wherever you get your podcasts. Speaking of Gen Z podcast, it's giving wholesome conversations.
Are you curious about that dazzling look? How do you define beauty? And how to dress elegant, glitz, and glamorous. The Glam Show is here to answer all those questions and show you what's popping and what's the latest in the beauty and lifestyle world, because you need it. Look your best and fall in love with Into the Glam every single Saturday only on NTV.
Wiki hii katika kupatana.
Love is forgiveness. But at what point do we draw the line?
Shida ilianzia Misa akikuja kazi huku Nairobi.
Alikuwa anajua uko na mimba?
Nilimpigia tu simu nikamwambia siko sawa, niko na mimba. Alikuja usiku, alifika saa 5 naelekea saa 6. Ndiye akapata huyo kijana mwingine kwa nyumba sasa.
To protect our family from germs that cause illness when it's cold, we use Dettol soap.
Dettol soap with germ defense gives you protection. When it's cold, germs are transferred in different ways, and Dettol soap's germ defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Be Dettol sure.
My goodness, it hurts so much. I don't want to die, Natalia. Please, you have to help me.
You're going to be all right. We're getting out of here. Shh, just breathe. Just breathe,
Natalia. Forgive me for everything. I want you to forgive me. Please forgive me.
We've lost him.
No, he cannot die. No.
We need to let him go. We did everything we could for him.
Head over heels.
Mimi nitachunga maua yetu vizuri sana hadi wewe narudi.
Family business is everything.
The Beauty and the Beats. Shanga, starting 25 April at 8 p.m. on Maisha Magic Plus.
Paukwa.
Pakawa.
Pakua.
Ya NTV.
Tangu mwaka 1999.
Tukakupakulia sana tulichokitaka.
Hii imeenda. Sasa mapishi ni yako.
Tukutane shambani.
Tupime na tuzime maradhi. Tukupe shime.
Tukiziba mashimo.
Jumatatu ni mizani.
Jumanne ni maisha sasa.
Na Jumatano ni afya yako.
Alhamis ni mduara.
Na kila Ijumaa ni vile tunaifeel. Hadi uchechemue. Chechemua ki Masogora.
Na Jumamosi ni Masogora.
Jumapili
NTV ya kuletea.
Hii ni NTV mpya. NTV yako. Tunakusikiza.
NTV, turning on your world. The following program has been rated GE. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Today on Daring Abroad.
When we came to Australia, we didn't have any background knowledge on swimming.
Meet Mercy and Josephine Komen, two prolific swimmers with their own Adelaide-based business. Find out how the sisters are saving lives, one swim lesson at a time.
We created this program together to be able to pay back to our community.
This, as King's developers redefine luxury living in Kenya through their world-class developments.
It's all about investing in a quality home with quality things around you that gives you quality lifestyle.
As usual, today's show is filled to the brim with inspiration, and of course, you are in time for it. My name is Michael Zimanje, and let's dive into the first story.
If you had told a young Mercy and Josephine Komen that one day they would become among the most sought-after swimming trainers in Adelaide City, most likely they would have laughed, given that prior to coming to Australia, the sisters had never swum a day in their lives.
When we came to Australia, we didn't have any background knowledge on swimming. And coming from a Kalenjin family, we didn't even know what the pools look like. So we came to Australia and
you came from where people run. You are known for running.
We were runners. We had no knowledge in water. So coming to Adelaide, we were interested. Like, we went to the pools and we were like, what are these people doing? What are they doing? We went to the beach. We didn't see people of our color. So we went to a point that we went to a pool and inquired, can we learn? And we were told, sadly, our program is already started for the new year, so we can't take you. And we went home, we sat at our table. We have a special table that we sit and discuss ideas. And we said, how about we teach ourselves this thing? We started putting YouTube on the house. Every day we had freestyle, all these styles. We went to the same pool. The one they told us, they can't take us. So we went to the pool every morning, like 6 in the morning, we would try and get there early. We were teaching ourselves, and my sister is a really good learner. So every time she would learn something, Josephine is a really good learner. So it's a really great advantage to us, because as soon as she gets something, as she knows what she's doing, I'm sure I will understand it.
You learned through YouTube?
Through YouTube.
Wenyewe tu?
Exactly.
Yes, Mercy and Josephine's introduction to swimming was through YouTube. No trainer, no experience. Talk about diving headfirst into uncharted waters.
Within the first month, we knew, like, at least we'll not drown. But we took a span of 3 months to know the full 4 strokes and all the survival strokes. And then the lucky thing was, there's this Royal Life Savings that we represent in South Australia. We inquired about multicultural classes and program. So they said, oh, we're looking for people, you're welcome. But when we went to the classes, we found ourselves as 2 black women. And everyone is from South America. These are big people with big numbers. So we thought, okay, we would do it. We took 2 months off. We took a lesson. We inquired. After that, we did the training, whatever the program they offered. And then we got the license.
Upon finishing, the Komen sisters returned home, ready to put to the test what they had learned. It was during this time that they came across an offer they couldn't refuse: to swim like the fishes for a living. That is how Komen Swim School started.
The end game is to see these new people that the parents have invested so much in them come here and just one time decide to go to the beach, and that's the end of their story. Like they drown.
Risking their lives.
Only last year we had someone in Sydney, someone in Perth. These are brand new students that parents have spent millions of money to bring them here, for them to just go for one time, to try something they don't have knowledge in this area and end their lives. So our main mission is to see our people safely in the water. Let them swim safe, let them know the basic skills. At least if I drown today, somebody can rescue me. So I don't want to sit with the skills that I have. What we're doing is spread the word to the people and make sure we're sending the message to our own community. So there's so many factors that contribute to drowning. It might be a sickness.
You may go into the pool when you are not well.
Yes. Alcohol causes you to have distorted judgment. It makes you have slow reaction. So you might be at the pool and you're so confident I can swim, but your mind is slowly closing down because you don't understand the impact. Alcohol also makes your body joints very slow. So the difference between someone that's okay and someone that's drunk is that they have slow judgment. So we advise the young kids and everyone in Kenya also, when you come abroad, ensure that you swim without drinking alcohol.
Be sober, go to the pool when you are sober. Any other factor we should watch out? Fear.
Because
you go in, but
then you just panic. So that panic moment, that's what takes you away.
Yeah, and that's what I've learned when swimming, that you will float easily. when you are relaxed, when you are okay,
Yes.
you know, breathe in. But when you panic, that's when you start going down.
Yes.
Wow. That's it. Well done.
It's very sad
Yeah.
because most people think they know. And people think because we are together, I know. Or nani ataniokoa, so and so will be there for me. But if you don't have the basic skills as a person, just this is what we're trying to tell people. Just get the basic skills. Because even if you drown, your other friends that don't know how to swim will not get to you. So our main program is just preach the word, like learn how to swim, even if it's just the basic words.
According to the Comment sisters, the argument of relying on others while in the pool doesn't hold water, and that is their motivation, saving lives. However, theirs is more than just swimming lessons.
Our training, we created this program together to be able to pay back to our community. Because when we came, we didn't know many things. But now with a few knowledge that we have, we thought, what is a good idea? We have so many mental health cases around in Adelaide. And me and my sister, we under a program for mental health and guidance. So this program runs for the new students that come in. And all the new students come here with different situations of mental health. As we know, there's a lot of different scenarios of mental health. So we've started a program under CASA, the Adelaide in South Australia. So we have cases like this. We use the funds that we get from here to support them. We go to different people. Someone is sick in the hospital. The only thing they're missing is loneliness. We give them credit. Talk to your mother. Talk to your parents. Somebody has no food. Have something for credit. So everything that comes from Comment Swim School goes out to the people.
Since starting the business, the duo says they've experienced great success, with their biggest clientele being Kenyans.
So if you teach one person, as Kenyans, word goes around. So if I teach you and I give you the best service, of course you spread it to the next person. And most of our people are within